Sawasdee krub, you're watching Thailand News Today. Just before we begin with our top stories, a shout out to Stephen Dunn for becoming a Tiger legend. Thank you so much for your support, and you can be a Tiger legend as well by hitting that join button. Also, our Good Morning Thailand show will now broadcast live on weekdays at 9 a.m. starting next Monday. So be sure to turn on the notification bell for this channel to be reminded when the live stream begins. All right, on to today's stories. Thai health officials are finishing up an investigation into deaths involving people who had received a COVID-19 vaccine in Thailand. The Department of Disease Control is looking into 68 deaths and plans to report the cause of the death on every one of the cases next week. So far, 13 of the cases have been deemed to be not directly related to the vaccines, according to the director of the department's Emergency Disease and Health Hazards Control Division. The cause of death for 8 of those cases was acute coronary syndrome, according to the initial investigations. Since February the 28th, around 7 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Thailand. Less than 1,500 people have been hospitalized sometime after being injected with the vaccine. Of the doses administered in Thailand so far, 3.2 million doses were the Sinovac vaccine and 1.9 million were the AstraZeneca vaccine. For the Sinovac vaccine, the common side effects included headache, dizziness, and nausea. For the AstraZeneca vaccine, common side effects are much the same: fever, headache, dizziness, nausea, and muscle ache. Hotel operators in the southern province of Krabi will be watching Phuket's imminent reopening with great interest, as will plenty of other tourist-dependent provinces. A successful reopening for provincial neighbor Phuket would mean Krabi and other destinations can look forward to reopening their hotels and recruiting workers for the high season or before. Out of 848 registered hotels in Krabi, only 10% are currently operating, with occupancy rates floundering in the single digits. The local tourist association, speaking about the PM's announcement to open up Thailand by the middle of October, says they should push ahead, handling each problem as it arises instead of shutting down the whole plan and heading back into restrictions and lockdowns. They say the vaccine rollout remains a top priority for major tourism destinations in Krabi, such as Got Phi Phi, Rai Le, Got Lan Ta, Ao Nang, and several others. MP Thamarat Phrompao, the controversial convicted drug trafficker turned politician, is favored to become the next Secretary General of the ruling Palang Pracharat Party. A meeting of the party's General Assembly will take place in Khon Kaen province today, where an announcement may be made. The embattled Deputy Agriculture and Cooperatives Minister is considered to be the likely successor to the leading role in the PPRP. He is said to have won the endorsement of Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan as well. The MP has been under scrutiny after details came to light of a 1993 drug trafficking conviction and 4 years in prison in Australia, with opposition leaders fighting for his removal. But the Constitutional Court ruled that the statute of limitation had passed and criminal records outside of Thailand were of little importance, so he was fit to serve. Thamarat has been acting as an inside vote counter and lobbyist for the ruling coalition, so much so that even his controversial past is being swept aside to allow his rise to a senior leadership position.
Want to keep up to date with what's happening in Thailand? Download the Tiger app. It works on both Android and Apple. And it's free. All the latest news, videos, and information at one click from your phone. Go to your Play Store or App Store and download now.
The government has confirmed that Phuket is now 62% vaccinated. Another day, another claimed vaccination figure. The announcement was yet another endorsement by the government for the Phuket Sandbox program reopening on July the 1st. We'll give you the real numbers in just a moment. The Sandbox proposal will provide quarantine-free tourism to fully vaccinated international visitors, although they will not be allowed to leave Phuket to visit the rest of Thailand until they've served 14 days in the Phuket province. They could visit for a shorter time, but will have to depart to an international venue from Phuket. The government went further to claim that Phuket's vaccine rollout is picking up momentum. But to clarify the numbers, 62% of the local Phuket population have received a single dose of COVID vaccine, but only just over 30% have been fully vaccinated with both doses. Those numbers have been published by the government's own media outlet. Thailand's Prime Minister will be visiting the province next week to do a first-hand inspection of the island's readiness to open up to international travelers on July the 1st. A Bangkok Metropolitan Administration Committee has decided to extend street vendor permits from 1 year to 2 years in order to make things easier for small businesses as they attempt to recover from the pandemic. Bangkok's Deputy Governor made the announcement, explaining that the BMA and other related agencies will work together to manage public spaces for street vendors for now. City Hall is expected to do some clarification in the long term to focus on small business operators and communal and cultural needs in more clearly designated locations that vendors are allowed to set up in. Officials will consider the needs of the local population as well as promoting tourism when Bangkok is able to rehost international travelers. The extension to 2 years eases some of the stress on street vendors and also saves money as it cuts down on the number of required health checkups and paperwork for renewing permits. As a result of restrictions and lockdowns, business has been severely curtailed for many shops, restaurants, and food service, especially the street vendors. This story sends shivers down my spine. A grandfather got a haircut he deemed bad enough to go to the police station to complain. The man's identity was not provided, but what we do know is that the man got a haircut that he believed did not make him look handsome. He said his hair was cut to different lengths, so of course, the next step is to march down to the local police station, which is exactly what this disgruntled customer did. You know what? I would have done the same thing. The Facebook page Dandung Update shared the man's harrowing story. The man brought his apparently unhandsome head into a police station as the barber wouldn't reimburse him. He showed the police officers his head as proof that he wasn't rendered handsome from the haircut. The grandfather went on to disparage the barber as unskilled. Despite the police's best efforts to assure the man that he was indeed handsome, the customer wanted his money back. In the end, police solved the dispute by passing the hat around the station and donating the 80 baht for the haircut as reimbursement. The barbershop in the middle of all this has not been named, so be careful out there, people. We have a barber giving unhandsome haircuts on the loose. I'm really concerned. And that's all for the news today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the latest Tiger videos, including our live broadcast of Good Morning Thailand next Monday. And now I'm going to go put on baby unicorn tears in my hair now to keep it fresh. So I bid you sawadee krap and have a wonderful weekend.